The adaptation of new technology in Nigeria have been relatively slow, comparing her to other leading African countries, such as South Africa and Kenya. Managing Partner, Infographics Nigeria Limited, Chinenye Uzo, joins us to analyze and discuss the growth of Nigeria's tech ecosystem.
Our industry, is it really growing?
Definitely, it's growing. I'm sure it's growing. It's a baby, but it's growing.
Are you happy with the pace of growth?
Well, let's say it could be better. It could be better. There's a process to growth. Growth, everything, every living thing, anything that grows is living. And for it to grow, there must be a process. And I think we're in the process right now. So we should be perhaps not so impatient, and we should manage our expectations according to our stage of growth.
But people like you that have been there from the onset or from the very beginning, when you look at places like what Dubai and a few other countries that started with us have done with technology, would you say you are excited?
I'm excited, yes. I would say, am I disappointed about where we are currently? Of course I'm disappointed. I should be disappointed because I am living in the digital economy and it isn't manifest in Nigeria as at now. So yes, I'm disappointed about being that. But we need to understand as well that I joined the industry, I was already there, and I've tried to do my own parts to help it grow, and others will come after us and help to push it even further. But it's difficult to sit here and imagine that we can do what is the result of centuries of development. And then we will
even in Dubai, even in UAE?
Again, the UAE story it's important to put the UAE perspective in, and put it into perspective. So if you look at what's happened with Dubai, there's a vision, there was money, and there was opportunity. In everything that happens, timing is absolutely critical. If you get the timing right and you get the right forces working in your favor and you have the right vision, then clearly you will accelerate the way that they did.
Are we not joking with the opportunities we have today? For example, Kenya is struggling, they have lesser population, but they're struggling with us in terms of inflows of capital into various tech ecosystem or tech projects. Are you sure that we're not wasting our opportunities?
I think if you look at the quantum of investments in the tech sector and the growth of the tech sector, Kenya is not competing with Nigeria in truth. It has a very attractive story, just like Ghana, but at the end of the day, sub-Saharan Africa is going to pivot around certain countries that by reason of their demographics and other such factors are pivotal. You can't do away with Nigeria, you can't do away with the Côte d'Ivoire, you can't do away with an Egypt, you can't do away with Kenya, you can't do away with Angola. These are countries that are pivotal to Africa's success. And of all these countries, and I should add Ethiopia, clearly the most exciting is Nigeria, and it will continue to be the most exciting because of a number of factors which are unique to us. And yes, we haven't gotten everything right, or a lot of things right in terms of our approach to technology and the growth of that industry, but let's look at the positive things. There's a lot of talk about our population, for instance, at 184 million people, but it's counterbalanced by the fact that we have less than 1% of that population in tertiary education. And if you discount further, you dig down a little bit further, you say, okay, so how many of those are in the STEM-related courses? You're probably going to end up with about 30% of that number. So essentially 1.4 million people in schools, in all 126 universities, and 30% of that, which is probably about 1.4, maybe about 4 million of those, 400,000 of those in STEM courses. The Haodong province in China produces 450,000 graduates in business studies alone per annum. The Indian education system has 18 million students in university. So there are things that have to be done, and clearly if we're able to accelerate that, we would probably create also a parallel acceleration in the ICT industry.
So in your perspective, the educational sector has to change?
You'd find that the areas where Nigeria is very distant from its peers are in the areas of innovation, technological readiness, higher education, health, primary education. And until you close the gaps on those, you will not get the acceleration that you need. So logically, the focus of government policy and the focus of private sector should actually be in investing in those spaces to create the needed momentum and the mass. Our universities are not producing enough. Our secondary schools aren't producing enough. We've de-emphasized STEM courses in the schools. Nigeria has been running alternative to practicals for 40 years. So there's a lot of stuff that we have to do in terms of that. So when we look at these kind of countries, and people mention UAE as an example. There are about 900,000, a quarter of the population of the UAE is made up of Emiratis. The rest of the population is a migrant population. So you've moved a quarter, 3/4 of your population is coming from countries and environments that are technologically adept. And then they're coming into your place, and your job is to create the infrastructure for them to now start to build on top of that. Clearly, the acceleration will be faster.
Significant effort is being made to improve the infrastructural development in the information technology system, although some argue that a lot needs to be done.
I would say that we're on the right track. The last minute administration did quite a lot in terms of setting the policies in place and figuring out what needed to be done. And it's more or less like a roadmap. I think that it was the first effective roadmap that we've had for the sector. Between the work that was done by Dr. Ndukwe in NCC and the work that was done by Omobola Johnson in the communications technology, I think we really do have the basics for the acceleration. One way to look at it, and an excellent way, is perhaps on the submarine cables. So from 2001 to 2010, Nigeria and the rest of Africa was serviced by one cable, SAT3. And SAT3 was delivering about 40 gig of connectivity to Nigeria. Every single thing, ATMs, the banks, the entire thing was powered by that 40 gig. Between the year 2010 and 2016, we've gone from 40 gig to approximately 19 terabytes of capacity. Obviously, there's going to be a process of moving that bandwidth from the coast up country by laying terrestrial cables, and technology is also going to make that a little bit easier. There is no way that we will not have, within the next 10 to 20 years, every single person with a high-speed connection to the internet. That's inevitable.
And the security part?
Well, that's another story, right? Because it was recently, they said there was the hack that just brought down a part of the internet was actually orchestrated through the Internet of Things. They were using devices, not just computers, but any connected device was being put together and used for this denial of service.
And you're sure we're ready for that?
We will get ready. We have no choice. I mean, think about it. Today we talk about a $100 device. In the early days when we started in multimedia, it would cost us close to 300,000 naira back in 1994 to build a computer, components of a computer. We used to buy RAM for 75,000 naira. Now index that to the naira value at the time, which was like 1.8. And you see the amount of money that we must have spent building systems to allow us to drive multimedia presentations. So today we buy these things at a fraction of that price. I think that we're going to get to the point inevitably where everybody will have access to a device that is under $50. And at that point it will proliferate. So imagine, rather than think about whether we are moving fast enough or not, think of a time when every single person is going to be connected. And when they're connected, and they'll be connected through high speed, and the possibilities of what we can drive through there.
Finally, you're a member of bodies like NCS and ISPON. What are you doing to work with the startups?
I think we're doing a lot, and we'll continue to do plenty. ISPON, for instance, the Institute of Software Practitioners of Nigeria, has successfully run an international conference for 5 years consecutively in Calabar.
But it sort of stopped with the last administration.
Well, a lot of things stopped with the last administration, but they don't stop forever. I think it just takes a little bit of time for us to get that momentum back again. But when you think about what we did, we used to bring nearly 600 people, young people from across the universities to one location, working in direct contact with professionals and mentoring them and guiding them through the development process of solutions to current problems in our environment. Now you ask, what are we doing? So we can help a lot, but it's an ecosystem. A lot of the stuff that's happening in places like Yaba is infected with this, I don't know what it's called, the virus of newness, and disconnecting with what they probably see as the old. That's not a problem, but I think if we were scientific in our approach, we would discover that all the ecosystems that are successful across the world are integrated, the old with the new, and the new with the future.
I want to thank you for being on today. I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
That's been our show for today. Remember, you can watch these and other editions of the show on the channel's TV YouTube account or via my blog, techsmart.ng. For Tech Trends, reaching you from GITEX 2016, I am Chukwemeka Agbata.